Hey everyone, I'm Hilary Fiskequx, and this is Reviews of the Nerds. Today I'm reviewing VidAngel, a personalized filter to pair with your streaming services. Are you a nerdy parent who would love to share your favorite TV series with your kids, but the language is just too intense? Are you a film buff who thought of the perfect pick for movie night with your coworkers, except for that one awkward bedroom scene? Are you someone who just wants to avoid graphic violence when you're trying to relax at the end of the day, but that popular new show sounds really intriguing? Simply connect your streaming service accounts like Amazon Prime and Netflix to VidAngel to set custom filters on thousands of your favorite TV shows and movies. You can set defaults that apply to everything you watch, or set show-specific filters. VidAngel recognizes the rights of artists to create whatever movies and TV shows they choose to, while also supporting your right to allow only certain content into your private home. There are 3 ways to personalize your experience. Filter out entire categories like sex, violence, or language. Skip or mute subcategories of content like only the graphic types of violence. Or enable individual filters, such as specific words or certain scenes you find distasteful. You'll be glad to hear there's even a Jar Jar Binks filter. You don't have to have kids to appreciate VidAngel. As my teenager observed recently, sometimes PG still isn't PG enough. VidAngel's slogan, "More watching, less worrying," means you don't have to violate your own boundaries for what's healthy to watch. People who've experienced trauma can also use this service to avoid reliving it as entertainment. I homeschool 3 boys, and we're huge movie and TV buffs, so it's worth $9.99 a month for a tool that equips me to be the guardian of what enters my home. The filters help me feel safer sharing things like the Wheel of Time series or Monty Python and the Holy Grail with my family, without stressing over whether I can hit the fast forward or mute buttons in time. VidAngel does the work for me. I'm Hilary Fiskequx, and whether you want to avoid seeing Edward Cullen's sparkly bare chest, or you just want to keep your kindergartner from picking up inappropriate new words from the TV, you should check out VidAngel. If you like to follow along as I balance our homeschool life with encouraging, empowering, and educating through my small business, you can find me posting and teaching on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at KYRedheadMK, and streaming periodically on Twitch as KYRedhead.
Have you ever heard a nerdy word or phrase that you were positive you should know but didn't? We've all been there, feeling like our nerd cred is dropping by the second. Well, fear not. Love Thy Nerd is here to help you hold your own in a nerdy conversation. So pull up an ear and pay attention, because we've got a new nerdy definition for you. Today's term is Dementor. This term comes from Harry Potter, but a lot of folks might only know the term from Steve Carell's prison mic rant on The Office. The Dementors are creatures who feed on and drain the peace, hope, and happy emotions of humans. In the stories, the Dementors are employed as guards at Azkaban, a prison for wizarding criminals. The kiss of a Dementor will suck out a human's soul, leaving an emotionless shell. So the next time you hear Prison Mike talking about the worst part of being in the clink, you won't have to fake your laughter anymore, because now you understand that reference.
Hey everyone, I'm Hector Miray, and this is Faith and Fandom 180 on LTN Radio. So this weekend was a weekend of wins and one notable loss. I picked up the new Elden Ring game at GameStop. I pre-ordered it, which means it came with a little fancy ring and a little satchel. And then I went and picked my daughter up for middle school, and we headed down to Charleston, South Carolina, where I was setting up for a Comic-Con. We had a 3-hour road trip, just getting down there. We got there and we walked 2.5 miles across a bridge that crossed a giant river. We just had a blast. We walked around downtown Charleston and explored. We ate fancy food. We stayed up late, watched movies. We just had a really great weekend. Plus, I had a really great weekend of doing ministry with Faith and Fandom and talking to people at this con and actually getting to interact in that capacity with my daughter and her asking questions and observing things. And it was really a treasure. Weekend was over. My daughter and I hopped in the car, loaded up, drove back to North Carolina, unloaded the car, and that's when I realized I didn't see my Elden Ring game. And it dawned on me that I had sat the game in the GameStop bag on the floorboard of the car where my daughter was going to eventually sit. And that at one of the gas stations, my daughter lovingly decided to clean out the car of trash, and she, I guess, considered that GameStop bag trash and threw away my game. Now, that's a loss. That's like a $60 loss on a game I've never played, and I honestly don't know if I care enough about it to buy it again. And it makes me sad, but when I look at that loss versus all the win that I had from spending that weekend with my daughter and all that came from it, I don't even care. It's garbage. And Philippians 3:8, we see the same idea. It says, "What is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage, that I may gain Christ." There's going to be some things that you're going to lose in this life as you actually follow Jesus. But when you look at them in comparison, the stuff that we actually let go of or lose is basically going to be considered garbage next to all that we gain from knowing Him and the love that He has for us. Remember to catch Faith and Fandom 180 every Wednesday morning on the Back Row Morning Show, only on LTN Radio. And if you'd like to learn more about Faith and Fandom, head over to faithandfandom.org, where you can learn about our Comic-Con ministry, podcast, memes, apparel, and book series. You can even read new chapters before they make it to the next book. I'm Hector Miray, and thank you for spending the last 180 seconds with me.
This week in Nerd History, Raw is War.
Nerd History.
In January of 1993, the World Wrestling Federation first aired their weekly episodic pro wrestling program, Monday Night Raw, on the USA Network. This was the first real attempt at a wrestling show shot and aired to a live audience, with angles being played out as they happened. Almost 3 years later, WWF's chief competitor, World Championship Wrestling, began airing its own wrestling show in the same time slot, WCW Monday Nitro. This was the beginning of what is known as the Monday Night Wars. After weeks of trading ratings victories, WCW began to win week after week. Part of the reason why was because WCW felt new, more story-driven, and much edgier, while the WWF had continued to stick to their campier, classic format. But that all changed on March 10th, 1997, when Raw was renamed Raw is War. WWF changed its logo from its classic retro block text to a logo scratched and scrawled into the corner of your screen. They debuted a new set, they opened the show with new pyrotechnics, and had a new, grungier intro theme. First, Marilyn Manson's The Beautiful People, but shortly after changed to Thorn in Your Eye, created specifically for the show. The show went on to focus less on wrestling matches and more on storytelling, promos, vignettes, and swerves. This style of programming would lead Raw not to just surpass Nitro in the ratings just over a year later, but by 1999 becoming the most watched weekly show in the history of cable television. And ultimately, the change saw a return to glory for the WWF that would ultimately bring an end to WCW Monday Nitro, their final episode airing live on March 26, 2001, featuring a simulcast with WWF owner Vince and his son Shane, building the purchase of WCW into a new storyline for Raw moving forward. Since that time, the show rebranded back to its original name and has long since reverted back from its edgier content to a PG, family-friendly product. Though, with new competition and All Elite Wrestling bringing back WCW vibes for a new generation, the promotion, now named World Wrestling Entertainment, has occasionally flirted with edgier content again.